Hello everybody, welcome. How you doing? Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Mr. Murphy is certainly having a good Tuesday, so I gave you a sneak peek of him. I gave him something to make him happy, and I think it made him a little too happy. He may be a little extra vocal today, but we'll work through it. My name is Kathleen, and we are going to talk about the 10 steps that you need to take in order to make your surveys a rousing success. Yes, that's exactly it. Oh, he is definitely that. And evidently I messed up the comments, but we'll fix that in a minute. Good to see you, John. Hope you're having a good one. Alrighty, so let's run the opening and then we can dive right in. Sorry, I've changed some things around, so I'm a little off. Hello and welcome to the BA Zone Live. My name is Kathleen, and any funny noises you hear in the background are my dog Murphy. Tonight we're going to talk about 10 steps that you can take to make sure that your surveys are a success. We talked last week about how surveys can be an important part of the requirements gathering process. So today we decided we would talk about the actual process of building your surveys, because a lot of people have never done it, but as you saw last week, it can be very, very helpful to have those as a part of your plan as you're collecting information, because for some users, some members of your audience, it is the only way that you'll actually be able to hear from them directly. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so we should start at the beginning for anybody who missed it last week, just a little refresher. So what are surveys? Why are they important? Surveys allow you to collect information from a wide variety of people in a very short period of time and at very little cost. So this is basically, you're going to be casting a wide net to get as much input as you possibly can from as many people as you possibly can, while, still keeping costs at hand and all that good stuff, but it gives you data that you would not get any other way. When are they helpful? Basically, anytime you're doing requirements, they're helpful. But in particular, when you're identifying user and customer perception expectations, when you're trying to gauge the level of customer satisfaction, you may think you know. Sometimes the gap between what's real and what you really know, it can be a completely different world. So that is something to keep in mind. If you're trying to identify pain points in an application, a process, these are the kinds of things that maybe people don't take the time to report, because let's face it, they're busy, they've got other things to do, or maybe they think the problem is them, and so in that case maybe they're just ignoring the fact that there might be options out there. Whatever the reality is, you want to make sure that they are given a chance to participate in the process so that they can tell you what it is that they need so that you can deal with it in your requirements. You can also use it to identify potential improvements, enhancements, requirements, new features that they might be looking for. Things, again, that you would not have found out about any other way other than asking them. And you can use these also to prioritize. So once you have defined what it is that you're going to focus on in the next release or the next several release cycles, you can use surveys to prioritize, okay? Because you think you know what the priority is, you think you know what the low-hanging fruit is, but it doesn't hurt to reach out to the people who are going to actually use it and find out what their thoughts are on it, because it may completely change what you thought was going to be the best way to go about things. And that's never a bad thing, really. Okay, so now there's a couple of survey types to think about. The most commonly used today are the online mobile surveys, because let's face it, we're all carrying around these, or our laptops or tablets or what have you. So you can make use of the time that people have when they might otherwise go and open up Candy Crush or whatever their game is of choice. They can go ahead and make use of that time by giving you information, and they're easy. Sorry. And it's a great way to collect information. Another is face-to-face interviews. I went into this in more detail last time, but basically you want to have a third party do that. Hang on one sec. Good boy. because you want to, the benefit of surveys is anonymity. And if you are the person working for the company talking to the person face to face, they can't be as open with you as they would with a third party individual. So you would want to go ahead and make sure that it was somebody that was not directly connected, to give the people who are answering that freedom to speak their mind. Telephone surveys are another good way to do it. Not so much the calling them, unless you get them to sign up and volunteer. Cold calling is not what we're talking about here. But one way is to say, hey, we're going to be doing this survey. If you'd like to take it, here are some, days and times, maybe have an appointment program that they can go to schedule their time, and then you could reach out to them. The other way to do it is to give them a number to call into and walk through the survey that way. Now, I know that the telephone response thing has a bad reputation, but that's when they are trying to search for information or reach a person. This you should make sure is very clean and simple with logical branching in it, but it might be another way to reach out to people who might not otherwise fill out a survey. Finally, there's always the mail survey, right? At this point, it's so retro it could be cool. Murphy, cut it out. Shh. Good boy. Okay. So sometimes it's worthwhile to go ahead and do that paper survey. Mail it out, let them take out a pencil or a pen and, fill in the answers, whatever it is that's comfortable for them. I will say that this list is definitely in order of expense. Online and mobile is the cheapest, all the way up to mail surveys, which is the most expensive because you're going to have to do printing, and then you have to do mailing, and then you're going to have to tabulate. So just keep that in mind too. If you're just getting started, I highly recommend that you go ahead and you use your online and mobile options, because you can do this for free, literally for free. All right, so let's really dive in now. Sorry, I got to switch this back. So how do you make sure that your survey is successful? First thing you need to do is know what you're doing. Right? You have to have a goal in mind. So you want to outline the purpose of the survey. What is the purpose of this survey? Okay? What is it you're looking to collect and analyze? Now, the important thing here is to keep in mind that when you're doing these surveys, you don't have to get everything in one push, right? So if you've identified a group of people, which we'll get into next, but when you identify a group of people, you should immediately look at a way to maybe segment them out, because maybe you're going to do one group for this initial collection, and then you'll do another one for a follow-up or for a deeper dive. So don't try to shove too much into a single survey. Pick a single thing that you want to focus on, and then focus on that. And the temptation will be there to try to just throw a little more stuff in there. Don't subscribe. Well, see, now I've lost my my topic scene. Here, I'll fix that while we're talking. But yeah, so you want to make sure that you stay focused. And you want to make sure that whatever it is that you are focusing on, you're focused on. Okay? And you can always do more surveys later. I mean, you don't want to pound people with these things. You do want to find a happy balance. You want a little bit of a window, right, for you to work with this kind of thing. But you do want to make sure that you are not muddying the waters, because that can skew your entire survey. And that is, of course, contrary to what you're trying to accomplish, right? We want, especially as part of our requirements, we want it to be as clean as possible, the data, so that you can get everything that you need. Hang on, I'm just trying to fix this because it's going to bother me. Okay. There we go. Now I'll feel better. Let's see if that worked. Yes, score, except, yes, it did work. Okay, good. So that is the big thing here, is that you want to make sure that you take the time to figure out what your goals are, what the survey's all about, and it'll turn out that you're going to identify a couple of different surveys, and then you're going to want to schedule out and figure out when you want to do the things when you want to send out the surveys that you're going to send out. Make sense? Okay, let's keep going. Now that I fixed that, let's take it down. So the next thing is to figure out who you're going to send the survey to, right? How you're going to reach out to them, what groups of people, because maybe you know exactly what you want to ask questions about in relation to the project you're working on as part of the requirements gathering, but maybe the audiences are doing different things at different points in their process, so maybe you're going to need to break it out. So you're going to have a core set of questions and then some specific questions based on who they are, where they are in their process. That's totally fine, but you want to have that all mapped out ahead of time, again, so that you're not wasting time, right? Your time or theirs, and that you're getting clean data back. So you're going to take a look at that and break it out. And like I said, if in the first one you've identified that you need to do a couple of surveys, maybe you're going to say, okay, out of these, 200 people, we're going to save these 50 for the follow-up survey. We're going to do these 100 for the initial survey and break it out that way so that you're not wearing out your audience as you do it. Step 3 is to select your delivery and collection method. So that's what we were talking about before. That is, how are you going to do this stuff? Let me go back to that in a second here. So it's your survey type. So that's what you want to figure out next, is how you're going to deliver it, how are they going to submit their answers, and then how are you going to tabulate everything. Now, if you're doing an online survey, that's all handled for you. If you're going to do a paper survey, you may be going to want to look at a service that will do some OCR screening, but then you're still going to need to have people go through it, or maybe you're just going to send out things, maybe you're not going to use a third party, you're just going to print up your stuff in your own company and mail it out. Well, then you're going to have to figure out who's going to tabulate it, how is it going to be gathered, you're going to put it in an Excel spreadsheet, all that kind of stuff. Get it all figured out, get it all mapped out, just like you would do with any other project you're working on. Make sure you've got the beginning, middle, and end and identified. Think about everything that needs to happen in each step and make sure you've got all those answers so that you're not distracted or skipping steps as you go through this process. Now, just so you know, there's actually a lot more to making sure your survey is good. I mean, these are the top 10 things that you just can't miss. But we do want to let you know that we have a ebook available for free that has all kinds of other reminders to help you as you're going through and figuring out your questions and your flow and how to break it down and all that kind of good stuff. So if you go to thebazone.com/survey ebook, you just have to put in your email address. And don't worry, we're not selling it to anybody. We're just using it to contact you, and we'll put you on our mailing list so that we can send you updates about the shows and all that kind of stuff. But just go here, thebazone.com/survey ebook, and you can get your own free copy to have handy. It's kind of like a checklist that you can use as you're going through the process. It's got these 10 in there, plus some more reminders and ideas. So just something to keep in mind. All right, let's keep going. Hang on, I'm going to grab Murphy's. Boy, where did it go, Murph? All right, sorry, puppy. I don't know where it went. I heard it roll over here. You're going to have to find it. All right, let's keep going. So next you're going to design your survey. So you're going to decide what questions you want to ask, what types of data you want to collect, the format of the responses. Now, we covered this in great detail in the previous show, which, by the way, you Facebook folks, we do apologize. We know that there was a problem last week with Facebook, but I did post a copy or a recording of the show. So if you go back, go into the videos list, you can go back one show and you can get all caught up on this. We went through all of these kinds of things in detail there. So feel free, if you have any questions, to go ahead and reach out. But everything is there for you on that one. Okay. Then next you want to create a little hype, right? So you want to get people excited about it. Now there's lots of ways to do this. You can decide to maybe, do a giveaway. You do want to be a little careful with that. We talked about that again last week, but just to remind you, you want to make sure that you're getting good data back, right? So you don't want to make a giveaway too enticing. You also have to be careful depending on your industry. Sometimes there are rules and regulations around that, so make sure you check with legal just to make sure that you're not getting anybody in trouble. But there's other ways to do it. You can, do a little social media thing about it. You can do a little hype about it. You can do things to make people feel special, right? Because everybody has to feel special. So you make the people who get chosen feel special about it. Hey, you're going to have direct impact on the next version, that kind of thing. So there's lots of ways to create a little hype, but it helps to kind of bump things up, right? To kind of keep people looking for it and make them eager when they finally receive it in whatever format you give it to them to dive right in and take care of that. Don't skip this step because it can be a really important part of getting a good survey response. Then you're going to want to test your survey. Now this is really critical, okay? You don't want to just send out your survey and then hope for the best, right? You, just like anything else, just like any other project you're working on, you want to take the time to make sure as you're going through, you want to sanity check everything as it's happening. So do a little test run, right, with a subset of your audience. See if they have any questions, if there's any confusion, if they're not, submitting it, or if the answers are a little wonky because maybe you need to dial in something a little bit better, maybe you need to rephrase a couple of questions. So do a little test, make sure that everything's okay. Let these people know that they're a part of the initial test. Make it very easy for them to reach out and talk to a human if they have any questions. Encourage that so that you get that kind of feedback, because that's what's going to make your next step really, really successful. Alrighty, now as we are getting ready and going into the final steps here, I do want to remind you, as far as reaching out goes, that you can reach out to us anytime, anywhere, right? So we are in all the places. We have the bazone.com website. There's a contact form there you can always use to reach out. We're also on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. So wherever it is that you would like to reach out to us, feel free. Now, you folks over on Periscope, you know that is the one place that we can't get comments after the fact. Like now I can see the hearts and all that, and thank you for that. But if you have anything that you want to reach out about, if you have questions about this, if you have any follow-ups that you'd like to do, if you have any additional questions, if you want more good stuff like this, you can go to Twitter. It's at the BA Zone there, or use the website contact form to let us know. Everybody else, we constantly go back and check comments, so whatever tool is your favorite, go ahead and use that tool, and we will always get back to you either in the show or directly, whichever you prefer. You just need to let us know. Okay? All right, let's keep going. This one. All right, so next is it's time to administer the survey, right? So you're going to want to select the launch day and time. We suggest a Monday, but you know your audience better than we do, so you may have to adjust that. Provide all the participants with all the information they need. Make sure you thank them in advance, and then again later, for taking time out, for helping, for contributing. Reinforce the fact that this is going to help them, because it'll give them a chance to reveal things, inform us about things that maybe we didn't know about. So it's a really good chance for them to participate directly. So play up all of that, make it very clear. Again, let them know that there's ways to get help if they need it. But do the happy launch, strong push, warm and friendly kind of a thing for that. Then make sure that you are following up. So you're going to want to set your survey is going to go over a certain period of time, right? You're not going to... You shouldn't just set it up for 24 hours, because nobody is going to be able, not enough people are going to be able to respond there, right? Because people are busy and they have things to do. So generally a week, maybe 10 days, we're talking like work week. So, 5 to 10 days is a pretty good window for survey results. But make sure that every couple of days you're sending out a reminder. Hey, the clock's ticking. Make sure that, you fill out your survey and get it back to us. If you haven't gotten it, let us know. We'll send you another copy, all that kind of stuff. Don't bombard them. Don't make it every single day, but, maybe do it, increase the urgency as you go. So the first one, maybe you wait a day or two, and then the next one, maybe you do it, a day and a half, and then a little farther along, depending on your timeline, maybe you do it at that day. Maybe as you get closer to the cutoff, maybe you do like 2 one day and then 2 the day of the final. Just to make sure that you're giving everybody every opportunity to follow through and submit, because, hey, you understand, things happen and people get distracted. So make sure you do that follow-up. Make sure you keep reminding them about the importance of it. And make sure you keep, an encouraging tone as you're doing that. Don't make it seem like it's a homework assignment, even though maybe it kind of feels a little bit like one. But it's something that you're giving them an opportunity to let you know what it is they need. And most people don't walk away from that if they have something that feels like it's lacking, or if there is something on their wish list that they are afraid that you don't know. So as long as you do it in the proper tone, it won't be seen as a bad thing. Okay? All right, let's keep going. We're almost to the end. Hey, Ramiz. Sorry, I hope I'm getting your name right. I love those icons you're sending. I don't know if they're going to come through. But they're very cool. All right, so next up, you're going to want to collect all that information that you've gotten, right? You will also reach out at this point and thank everybody who submitted, even the ones who didn't, because maybe they just forgot. And now you're going to go and you're going to pour through all this information, and you're going to process it and store it. Now, remember, before you actually start to work with the data, make sure you make a clean copy of it. Make sure you put a copy someplace safe, right, untouched, and you're only doing any kind of filtering and sorting and that kind of thing on a copy of it, right? Because you always want to keep your original data clean in case you need to go back to it, or in case something goes wrong. So with your copy of the data, then you can go through and you can analyze and compare. You can interpret if you've done previous surveys, that are similar. Don't compare apples to oranges or apples to race cars. Make sure you're comparing the same to same. But this is the time to go through and look at everything, compare it to what your expectations were going into it, compare it to the other information you've collected as you go through. Because remember, every user group is going to have slightly different pain points, slightly different point of view, and that's all fine. That's all actually good stuff, because that's the reality of the world. There's all kinds of different people using our stuff and using it in ways that we never anticipated. This is your chance to find that out. And then you can work all of that with the other information that you've gotten, compare, contrast, make some preliminary decisions and assumptions, right? And then gather it and present it to the team. Make it clear. Have maybe a couple of sessions where you go through it, depending on how different the data is from your expectations. But go through the whole process, make your recommendations, share the results. Don't be stingy with the data, right? This is information for you, your team, and the company. So spread it around, spread the wealth around, and let everybody see it. That's all a good thing. And then use that as another piece of your requirements process. Now, let's be very clear here, because I did have some people reach out who were like, oh, so if we do this, then we don't need to do the other elicitation things. It's like, no, this is just one more piece. Because the idea is, if you only talk to one person, you're only getting one point of view, right? And if you're talking to them face to face, and they know that you're part of the team working on it, you're going to get slightly different answers than if you were doing an anonymous survey where people felt like they weren't going to hurt anybody's feelings, that they weren't going to be looked at in a bad light for their answers, because that is the subtext. Every time you're talking to somebody face to face and doing an interview, there is an underlying psychology, and we have covered this in other shows, so you can go back and take a look at some of those if you're not familiar with these concepts. But when you are interviewing somebody face to face or over the phone, who knows you, knows you're part of the team, they are concerned about how you're going to look at them in light of their answers. They're concerned about hurting your feelings, right? Or saying something wrong, or looking stupid. None of which is coming from you. This is just all how people think. So you want to make sure that, this is, in this great opportunity that you've got, that you are going to, look at the information you got from those other methods, compare them to the anonymous methods, and if you're seeing a big gap between those, or you're seeing completely different answers, you're not done with your requirements gathering. You're going to need to go back and do more research, maybe more surveys, more interviews, that kind of thing, maybe some more shadowing, because that's a great way to find out information. But this is just one more tool in your toolbox, and it's something that you need to use on a more regular basis. Way too many people don't use these at all, and that leads to the possibility of missing some stuff that's really important. So that's why you want to do that. That's why we created the free ebook. Just go to thebazone.com/survey ebook, and you can get your own free copy. And all of these pieces then will be much easier for you to work through. And that, as she says, is that. So there you go. You can get all the information there at thebazone.com/survey ebook. You can also, we have a lot of information on the blog about surveys, because we do them a lot. We find them to be a very helpful thing, especially because we're working with a audience that is scattered to the four winds, and so you're not always able to talk to people in real time or shadow them in real time, but also because we have learned over the years what a valuable resource it is. We use this data for at least a year going forward every time we do a survey. So if you go to thebazone.com and go to the blog and just click on the tag for surveys, you can get even more information should you need it or want it. All right. So I thank everybody for coming and hanging out. I thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up. That's always a nice touch. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. You can always go to thebazone.com. There's a form there that you can submit that with whatever information or questions, along with ideas for the show, whatever. Or you can reach us on Twitter. If you don't like to go to websites, that's fine. We like to be everywhere everybody is. So if you go to thebazone.com if you go to twitter.com, the BA Zone, you can tweet at us or DM us, whatever works better for you, and we're perfectly happy to share additional information, answer questions, or if you have ideas for the show, that's where most of our good ideas come from. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you found this useful. I hope to be seeing surveys from many of you soon. And we will be back next week on Thursday with more information for you. We're hoping to have a good summer. Mare will be back. She is just getting some things taken care of. But she did want to say hi. And hope it's all going good for you. We will see you soon. Bye.